Hello, I am Teacher DG. Happy President's Day. This presentation is dated for February 13th, but today is actually President's Day. It is February 15th, and this presentation is about Auntie Shirley Chisholm. Thank you for joining me. I want you to take a little bit of time to just say out loud what your name is, and what you are going to be when you are an adult. We are going to learn about Shirley Chisholm. The book I am reading from is by Andrea Davis Pinkney, and it is called Let It Shine, Stories of Black Women Freedom Fighters. When Shirley Anita St. Hill was 3 years old, her parents, Charles and Ruby, sent her and her younger sister, Odessa and Merle, to the West Indian island of Barbados to live on their grandmother's farm. It was hard for Charles to earn a solid living on the meager salary he made as a baker's helper. Shirley's parents wanted to buy a house, and they wanted their daughters to have proper schooling. They didn't want to send their daughters away, but they thought letting grandmother Emily help raise their children was a way to save the money they needed and a chance to give Shirley and her sisters a good education. Grandmother Emily's sunny village was a far cry from the streets of Brooklyn, the New York City borough where Shirley was born. The St. Hill girls missed their parents, but they took well to island life, and they were well taken care of. Grandmother Emily insisted that each child do her share of farm chores. She also saw to it that Shirley and her sisters attended college regularly. On Sundays, when it came time to dress in their finest clothes and walk the 2 miles to worship services, Shirley, Odessa, and Merle went along willingly with their grandmother. Sundays were special to Shirley because after church, their Aunt Myrtle and Uncle Lincoln and Shirley's cousins and neighbors gathered for supper. Sunday dinners were rich with fruits and vegetables from the island. What is your favorite food? When Shirley was 4 years old, Grandmother Emily enrolled her in school held in the village church. This school was a traditional British style school, common in Barbados. The teachers didn't tolerate anyone who wasn't serious about learning. It was not the place for complaining, backtalk, or making faces. 7 classes set apart only by chalkboards met in the same room. Shirley learned with children of all ages. Even as little girls, she was a good student. She could read and write clearly by the time she was 5 years old. Back in Brooklyn, Shirley's parents were blessed with another daughter, Selma, but they had suffered financial hardship during the Great Depression. And after the birth of their fourth child, they realized they could not afford to buy a home. 7 years had passed since they'd taken Shirley, Odessa, and Merle to Barbados. They felt it best to bring their family together again. Shirley was 10 years old when she and her sisters returned to Brooklyn. She was glad to be reunited with her mother and father and was happy to meet baby Selma for the first time. But there wasn't much else in New York City to put a smile on Shirley's face. After all, New York was crowded and it was cold, and to make matters worse, Shirley had to start school in the 3rd grade. In Barbados, she had been in classes that were equivalent to 6th grade. But because she had not been taught American history or geography, the teachers at her school, PS 84, held her back. School became drudgery for Shirley. She could read and write circles around most kids her age, let alone third graders. What grade are you in? Thanks to one observant teacher who saw that Shirley was a bright child and suggested she have a private tutor, Shirley caught up in the subjects that she hadn't learned. At home, Shirley received a valuable education too. Though her parents had little formal schooling, they taught her lessons that would shape her future in ways no classroom could. Shirley's father loved to read. Do you love to read? Even on his small salary, he always purchased several newspapers each day. It was important to Charles St. Hill that he and his daughters understand world events and the happenings in their community, especially issues that affected the rights of Black people. Shirley's father was a follower of Marcus Garvey, a civil rights leader from Jamaica. Charles St. Hill impressed upon his children the importance of learning African American history. Both Shirley's parents encouraged her to visit the Brooklyn Public Library to find books about Black men and women who have devoted themselves to the struggle for racial justice. Are you all talking about Black history in your classrooms? The library became a friend to Shirley. There she took a special interest in how Harriet Tubman had led so many slaves to freedom along the Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman's accomplishments showed Shirley that women could be leaders, that a single Black woman could lead legions of people, even when a mountain of obstacles stood in her way. So this picture on the left, that's actually a picture of Shirley Chisholm. All of the other pictures were not actually her, but this one on the left is actually her. In 1942, Shirley graduated from Girls High School in Brooklyn. Her good grades put her at the top of her class. Soon after graduation, she enrolled at Brooklyn College, where she learned there was more to education than book learning. For Shirley, college was a lesson in Black pride. Shirley had hoped to become a teacher, but college introduced a new idea. During her second year at Brooklyn College, Shirley joined the Harriet Tubman Society, a civil rights club whose members met regularly to discuss ways to lessen the racial tensions between Black people and white people. Shirley had lots of good ideas for helping African Americans gain equality. She spoke up at club meetings and during her classes, and she listened to the views of others, whether they agreed with her side of things or not. So today's holiday is President's Day, and I know most of us are really glad this is not our president anymore. Once a white politician came to Brooklyn College to speak to students. In his speech, he said, "Black people will advance someday, but Black people are always going to need white people to lead them." This comment made Shirley very angry. Even before the man was done speaking, Shirley decided that she was not going to accept such stupidity. Shirley's friends, both Black and white, began to point out her talents for encouraging others, organizing groups, speaking in public, and putting her ideas into action. I hope that you are encouraging your friends too, like Shirley Chisholm did. One of Shirley's favorite teachers, political science professor Louis Warsaw, a white man who was blind, encouraged Shirley to consider a career in politics. Shirley appreciated Professor Warsaw's suggestions but dismissed his ideas. To her, a political career was a far-fetched notion. She told Professor Warsaw, "You forget that I am black and I'm a woman." But then Shirley remembered how angry it made her that some people believed African Americans could not lead themselves. And she remembered all that she learned about Harriet Tubman's courage. Thank you for listening. So here we have a picture of some of the women presidents. Sadly, our nation has not had a woman as a president, but you can be the leader. And then here we have below us Central Latin America, and these are also some women presidents. But as we can see, there's not very many brown skinned women. Actually, there are no brown skinned women. And that's really interesting because a lot of Central and South America is brown skinned just like us because their ancestors came from West Africa too. And here we have in the middle, Madam Vice President, and these on the left are all of our former vice presidents. And then on the right, we have our leader. We can call her our aunt because we can be just like her and follow in her footsteps. This is Aunt Shirley Chisholm at this is actually where we might have saw a lot of the racist white people come and take over Senate. They're really angry and they don't think that women should lead or black people should lead. And that hate has got to end because these are the women leaders. And we can see some of them are Stacey Plaskett, Stacey Abrams, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Joyce Beatty, Barbara Lee, Eleanor Norton, Mia Love, Maxine Waters, Barbara Jordan, Lisa Rochester, Cradis Collins, Katie Hall, Barbara Rose Collins, Ava Clayton, Carrie Meek, Denise Majette, and the one in the bottom corner with the hat on, she always has beautiful hats. That's actually my old professor. And I went to a Black women's college. It's called Bennett College for Women. There's one other Black women college that you can also attend called Spelman. And she was my women in politics professor. So before we leave, we are going to look at a, a cartoon on Shirley Chisholm. Okay, let's see. I'm going to get this cartoon up for you. And before we end with a cartoon, I would just like you to think about 3 things that stood out to you about Shirley Chisholm. And if you could, share them with a friend. Sorry, my computer is taking a long time to load.
Known as the first African American Congresswoman in history. Stay tuned for more.
Okay, we may just end right there because my computer is taking quite a while. But thank you for learn. Oh, maybe it is about to start. Okay, let's see.
As we share interesting facts from biography of Shirley Chisholm for students. Shirley Anita St. Hill, also known as
Well, thank you for attending and happy President's Day. I look forward to hear about how awesome you are doing in school. I know you are very brilliant, so please speak out and learn a lot. And I look forward to hearing about you being in college and taking on that career that you will do. And hopefully, you can be in leadership and lead our government like the women who we learned about at the end. And you can also be president too. That presidency is not only for
was born on
white
November
people
30th,
or males.
1924, in Brooklyn,